A new wave of poets and creative writers emerged during the late 19th century, challenging the prevailing scientific philosophy that had long guided academic institutions. Their central argument was that artistic expression should shift away from the objective portrayal of the external world and instead embrace the depiction of inner visions and symbolic meanings. These themes would go on to exert a profound and enduring influence on the works of subsequent writers and artists well into the 20th century. What set these authors apart from their contemporaries, particularly the naturalist writers of their time, was their distinct inclination towards the exploration of personal symbols and the boundless realms of artistic imagination. In stark contrast to the prevailing trend of addressing the social issues and challenges of their era, these avant-garde writers ventured into the uncharted territory of symbolism and the intricate workings of the human mind. This shift in focus marked a significant departure from the conventions of the time and contributed to a rich tapestry of artistic expression that would continue to captivate and inspire creators for generations to come. The French symbolist poets challenged the late 19th century European beliefs in several significant ways. They rejected the prevailing positivist philosophy that emphasized empirical observation, scientific rationality, and the pursuit of objective truths. Instead, they championed subjectivity and the idea that reality extended beyond what could be empirically observed. Symbolists believed that creative artistic work should primarily focus on portraying inner visions and conveying symbolic meanings. They asserted that these inner subjective experiences held profound truths that were just as valid, if not more so, than objective observations. Symbolism represented a departure from the rational liberalism that had dominated European thought. While rational liberalism promoted reason, democracy, and individual rights, symbolists delved into the mystical, embracing the irrational aspects of human experience. Many symbolist poets viewed imagination and personal symbols as a means of escaping what they perceived as a mundane and materialistic reality. They sought to transcend the limitations of the material world through their art. In contrast to the realist literary movement, which aimed to depict everyday life and social issues in a detailed and objective manner, symbolist poets rejected the strict adherence to external reality. They allowed their poems to be shaped by the imagery and associations of their inner worlds, leading to a more abstract and dreamlike form of expression. They extended romantic ideas about the significance of personal imagination. They celebrated the creative power of individual visionaries and believed that these personal visions served as sources of artistic truth. Symbolist poetry often employed intricate language and symbols, making it less accessible to a broader audience. This complexity was intentional, as symbolists aimed to convey the inner reality of experience, desire, and imagination, which could not be expressed through ordinary language. Symbolist ideas transcended literature and influenced various art forms, including music, painting, and theater. The symbolist emphasis on conveying personal visions and inner sensations extended to these other artistic domains. Philosophical radicals like Friedrich Nietzsche played a significant role in challenging the prevailing norms and beliefs of late 19th century European society. Nietzsche and fellow philosophical radicals launched a robust critique against established religious and ethical traditions. They questioned the authority of organized religion and its influence on moral values. Nietzsche's famous assertion that God is dead symbolized the diminishing relevance of traditional religious beliefs in the context of modernity. Nietzsche particularly criticized existing moral and ethical systems, especially those rooted in Christianity. He argued that these conventional moral frameworks, which emphasized traits like selflessness and humility, hindered individual creativity and self expression. Instead, he introduced the concept of the will to power, advocating for a re evaluation of values that celebrated individual strength and authenticity. Philosophical radicals extended their skepticism to the democratic political assumptions prevalent in their era. They questioned the idea that democracy was an automatic path to social progress and improvement. Nietzsche, for instance, expressed concerns about the potential for democracy to lead the tyranny of the majority and a mediocrity of intellectual and cultural pursuits. These radicals broadened their critique to Enlightenment ideals such as reason, rationality, and progress. They argued that these ideals had limitations and could not provide comprehensive answers to the complexities of human existence. Nietzsche regarded reason as inadequate in guiding human life and believed in the necessity of a deeper, more instinctual wisdom. Philosophical radicals championed individualism as a central theme. They encouraged individuals to carve out their unique paths in life and rejected conformity to social norms. Their message emphasized the importance of independent thinking and self discovery. Many of the ideas presented by philosophical radicals laid the foundation for existentialist philosophy, which gained prominence in the 20th century. Existentialism explored themes related to individual freedom, choice, and the search for meaning in a world that appeared indifferent. Several other writers, including those who authored realist and naturalist works discussed in the preceding lectures, crafted critical narratives addressing the social issues affecting European civilization. While the majority of naturalist writers drew inspiration from European scientific advancements to construct their depictions of the contemporary social landscape, there were literary movements that embraced more radical cultural critiques. These movements called into question the prevailing trust in science, positivism, and rational liberalism. Additionally, they challenged the established culture within universities and Enlightenment principles of reason and rationality that had molded academic circles. Beyond the academic realm, avant-garde movements expanded upon earlier critiques of Enlightenment ideals, drawing inspiration from writers such as Dostoevsky. These movements placed a strong emphasis on the non-rational dimensions of human experience and embraced aesthetic concepts that elevated art to a nearly religious status. Avant-garde writers further developed romantic notions regarding the significance of personal imagination. They regarded individual visions as wellsprings of artistic truth and celebrated inner knowledge and subjectivity. These artists and writers diverged from the positivist assertion that truth could only be derived from objective descriptions of the external world or its phenomena. Symbolist literature and poetry heralded the onset of a revitalized emphasis on subjective comprehension, challenging the notion that reality could be exclusively grasped through sensory observation. This theme held profound significance within the broader modernist movement in literature and the arts, which emerged during the late 19th century as a rejection of positivism. Symbolist literature provided an alternative to the naturalistic literature crafted by authors such as Émile Zola, although with a more specialized readership compared to the widespread popularity of Zola's novels and Ibsen's plays. The essence of symbolist themes found its most vivid expressions in the works of Charles Baudelaire, Stéphane Mallarmé, Arthur Rimbaud, Paul Verlaine, and Villiers de l'Isle-Adam, all of whom delved deeply into the exploration of inner worlds.